Hello, everyone. Peppe Merolla here, and welcome back again, Peppe Merolla and friends. This time, I'm going to have a special guest, and he's a wonderful cat. He's a wonderful drummer, and we never met personally, but we met online. So, and talking to him privately online, I felt this guy is not only a great, a great drummer, but he's also a wonderful cat. He's a for those out there that don't know what cat is, well, in the music we say cat means he's a great guy. So let me introduce you the one and only this dear friend of mine, uh, Gabor, Gabor Dornyei, Gabor. Did I pronounce it right?
Yes, Gabor, it's even better. It's closer to the original pronunciation. Gabor Dornyei. Well done.
Well, thank you. Ciao, grazie.
Ciao, grazie. Ciao, bello.
Senti, how are you?
I'm well. I'm good. Thank you. I'm staying positive. I'm keeping it together.
Yes.
And I'm practicing and I'm trying to get better and I'm trying to stay focused.
That's the most important thing. Join the club. Since it's been already 5 months that, as you know, because of the situation we're going through right now, because of COVID, I've been in the house just like you and, teaching online. You teach online as well, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
See? And I've been practicing and taking advantage of the fact that we cannot, do any tours or gigs. Still, everything is still closed here in the United States. Clubs are closed.
Yeah.
Uh, Tours, no way. So at this point, 5 months ago, I decided to take advantage and work on, on my weakness. So to try to reinvent myself as a musician, and I'm sure you're doing the same thing, right?
I
Getting
don't
better.
think you have many weaknesses seeing your videos, but it's an ever-going thing. You know, it's something that you can always progress with, something you can always learn, always improve, always get smoother, faster, groovier.
Yeah,
You can get better timing, better sound, better expression, better ideas by doing it. So I always told my students, particularly since this unprecedented lockdown situation, that um, as a musician, you're always going to have times when you're really busy. You have your peaks, and then suddenly nothing happens. And then you're up again, and then you're going down, and you don't know what's going on because you haven't done anything wrong. It's just gigs dries up, and the phone doesn't ring, emails doesn't come in, and then you just don't know what's happening. And then you realize that those downtimes are the most valuable times in order of self improvement and progress, because when you're busy you never have the time to practice. The difficulty that musicians, we are soul people, we have a huge heart, we are very, very sensitive, we take everything to the heart. And when you would have the time, because you don't have the gigs, you don't have the inspiration to practice, because you think, what the hell I'm working towards? I have no inspiration, I have no gigs, no tours, no recording dates, nothing is coming up. What the hell I'm preparing for? So I think this one is sort of going through the situation several times and understand that this is the time when you gotta stay strong and focused, because this time probably, hopefully, never going to happen again. That there's no gigs, no tours, no recording session, nothing. So this is your downtime to progress and improve yourself. Now, it's easily said and very hardly done. Much easier to say it than do it, because if you have no inspiration, you get depressed. And that's the human side of the business, that when nothing is going on, what will keep you going, you know? So, and this is where the experience comes into life. And then you focus on your experience and you realize that this is the time that I have to use to progress and learn that lick, learn that groove, learn that style, learn the technique, that rudiment, that whatever that may be,
Of
that
course.
you always wanted to do and you never got around to do it. So it's all about mentally managing the difficulties.
No, I agree with you 100% on this one. And like you said, don't, even for the people out there that are watching right now and the people that eventually they're going to be watching after afterwards, because this live stream, we right now we are live on my fan page, on your, I tag you in on your page, different groups, and also at the same time we are live on YouTube. So and it will be on YouTube in 24 hours. It's live now on YouTube, but will be on YouTube, public on YouTube in tonight by midnight tonight here California time.
Yeah.
But like you said, again, this is the time not to get discouraged,
Yeah.
because first of all, we are so lucky that we do something for business, as business. We do something that it became business, but this is a passion.
Yeah.
So every time, it can be on a drum set, it can be on a practice pad, it can be with my trumpet, with my piano. Every time I touch notes, music, to me is like I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
So thinking in that way, don't think about, what is going to happen, what is going to be. First of all, there's going to be some change, I guess, but the technology, the high tech, and the promoting, so things will happen for each one of us, and we still music will always be alive. No, there is no way that the music can die as long as we practice, we give what we our best, and try to communicate how we feel musically with the people. So
Yeah.
don't think about the gig, what is going to happen. Now I have no gigs. Practice. Do
Yeah.
what you do best, because if you do what you do best with passion, people will feel it and people will follow you.
Yes, exactly. Do you know what? It's a very funny thing, and I'm 100% in agreement with you on that one. And also, what I found is if you don't have gigs, you can still get inspired online. What happened the other day? I just I was very busy with my everyday life. No gigs, nothing. I'm still practicing. I'm doing my online lessons, everything, and then suddenly the benefit of social media, suddenly a Dave Wacko video just came up on my Facebook page. They were trading force in the Chicoria acoustic band.
Uh-huh.
And suddenly, in 10 seconds, I felt more inspired than I was in a week or in a month, because you just got to watch the masters, whoever your favorites are. If you're into metal drumming, it's absolutely fine. If you're into pop and rock grooves, fine. If you're into jazz, fusion, Joe Morello, Buddy Rich, big band style, fine. Just get inspired. Keep yourself positive and inspired. And it's so easy. You just got to watch the masters, and suddenly you realize, oh my God, how much work I have to do in order to get to that level. And once you're aware of that, you never have a dull moment. You don't have time to be depressed because you're just practicing. And that sort of dedicated blind practice, when you do it in order to get better rather than in order to get a gig or get paid, it's so much more soul lifting that it's a different purpose. You realize that you're doing it for the reason why you started playing music. Because the reason why we all started playing music, because you had the passion and the heart and the imagination. You were happy and lucky to be blessed with your talent, and you just wanted to do it. I wasn't thinking, me and my sister were big rockers when we were in our teens. I was playing along to all the rock records, and I was happy without having a single drum. I
Of
had
course.
a sofa in front of me, and I was playing on the sofa 10 hours a day, and I was happy playing alone to my favorite records. And that's the point of playing music and being very lucky to be able, particularly if you get to the level to make a living out of this and do it as a business rather than going into the boring office and having to do something that you hate from the first moment onwards. I personally couldn't imagine living my life that way. So whatever difficulties the music business will bring, I'm just ready for it, and I'd rather power through and strive it through, and I will make my best to succeed with my talent, with my circumstances. I'm in no competition with anybody. I'm just the only person I'm in competition with is myself. I'm just trying to get better than I was, which sometimes difficult because back in the day I had much more time to practice than now. So I'm just competing with myself, and I'm hoping to get better than I was. And if I manage to achieve that, then I'm happy.
Well, I gotta now. I got a question for you. When did you start playing this instrument, drums, and how old were you, and what it turned you on? How that came about?
As I mentioned before, me and my sister were big rockers. So I was listening to rock music at a time when I was around 10, and I was completely stolen from the world. Music just inhaled me. Music just absorbed me, and like a sponge, I just suddenly I felt that I have a sense of rhythm. I felt that the rhythm in the music, whatever that was, and I just felt the urge that I have to play along. I have to play with that music, whatever that was, whether it was Deep Purple, or whether it was Metallica, whatever it was at the time that I was listening to. I just felt the rhythm, and I had this unbeatable urge to play the rhythm of the music, and this was a feeling that just got stronger and stronger and stronger. And when I was around 10, that was sixth year at the primary school system in Hungary, where I was originally born. And luckily, in the primary school, we lived opposite the school. It was just like a 200 yards or something from the primary school. So in the long break, which was 20 minutes long, I sort of escaped from the school and I ran off in the backyard, and I ran home for 20 minutes to play drums. And then I ran back to the school when I was 10, and I attended the classes like never happened. And I was sort of just getting mental. I had this urge to play drums and drums and drums and more rhythm. And I was eager to earn and learn the instrument. And then my mom realized that, oh my God, this is all you do. You stopped all the sports, and you stopped everything else, and now you're just playing the drums. So it's time. If you're so serious about this, you have to go to the elementary music school in the local town in the south of Hungary. And so she took me to the music school, which couldn't accommodate me because it was already sold out. So all the slots were taken, and the teacher said that, "Oh, I'm very sorry. It's very nice that you came, but we already sort of midterm. We're halfway through the year, so you have to come back next September." And I remember I was a little bit sad, but my passion was so strong that I didn't get depressed. I didn't give up. At the age of 10 or 11, which I think at the time was a big thing. But to me, this failure, so to speak, that I wasn't accepted at the local music school wasn't like a major damage. I just felt like, okay, it didn't happen this time. So maybe in September they're going to accept me. So I went home and I started practicing even more. And I remember my audition for the elementary music school when at the age of 11 next year was that I had to sing and clap at the same time. They were checking. There was a brilliant teacher in my hometown, and he was like a multi-instrumentalist. He played piano, guitar, bass, drums, tune, percussion, everything. So he was like an all-round musician, and he was checking my ears, my pitch. So I had to sing a song and clap, or to play the drums at the same time on my lap. And from that, he knew that I had the talent for music. And the next year, from September 1990. Excuse me.
No,
Well,
no.
1990, I was 12 years old. I accepted to the music school, and I was expected as well because we already sort of signed the application that I will come back next year, and I was expected and accepted, and we went back, and from then it's a dream come true.
That's wonderful. So, and what was the first record that really hit you right away? So, whoa, this is great.
Wow. Oh my God, that's really difficult to say. But as I said, I can't remember the year, but I definitely remember that. It's funny because now I play jazz and Latin and old fusion and everything. But in my early years, we were massively into rock and metal. And I remember one of my favorite albums were "And Justice for All" from Metallica,
Oh,
and I know it's crazy. This is life and this is music. And I remember me and my sister just listening to it back and forth. And it's an early 90s record, I think. And Lars Ulrich at the time was on the top of his game. And they had a couple of, great records. And it was massively influential in my early years. And also some local bands, Hungarian bands that probably the worldwide listeners wouldn't know. But the next one I remember was Deep Purple live in Japan, Ian Pace. Oh my God, the drumming there was unbelievable. And I remember my private dentist, who later became almost like a stepfather for me, and his son became my best friend for over 30 years now. They were massively into British rock, such as Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. So I was introduced to that kind of scene. And then when I was around 17, I was discovered by a fantastic drummer by the name of Peter Sandofi, who was on faculty at the DCI Drummers Collective Institute in New York.
yeah.
And he had a scholarship there, and later on he was one of the faculty members there. And he started teaching me jazz and fusion when I was 17. So a couple of years later, only like 3-4 years, so not massively later, but a couple of years later, he started teaching me in Budapest, which is the capital of Hungary, and then he's shown me the master plan from Dave Wackel, and it's really interesting that I have sort of like a backward journey, in the sense that first I came from rock and then I discovered fusion, and after fusion I discovered the great. So from fusion I went to realize what is jazz about, and from fusion I went back to listening to the old guys like Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, Jack DeJohnette, Jones, Roy Haynes, all the greats. And then I was extremely lucky around 17, 18. I had a dear friend who was a sort of a hobby drummer in my hometown in southern Hungary, and he gave me the Joe Morello video, Natural Body Movement. 1 and 2. It was a series of 2. I think it was originally planned for a series of 3, but there was 2 recorded. And that moment was just like, oh my God, what's going on? So I've never seen those hands in my life. So Joe Morello was another ground-shaking experience for me. And that was a time when I really started learning the traditional grip, which I love. And the reason I couldn't play it before, because I just didn't know how to hold the stick. I didn't have the right grip. I wasn't shown, like I've seen it with many of my students that they're breaking their wrist out for some reason, and they start to play like this, which is the most awkward position that you can be in. So, and that Joe Morello thing,
you know what I tell them when I see them go like this?
yeah,
Hold on, I go like this.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the reason why many people can't use the traditional grip because they're breaking the wrist out before they should, and there's literally no weight, there's no sound, no backbeat, nothing. You can really play like that. So and the Joe Morello thing made me realize that how much I love jazz and how much I love drumming technique and fluency and the expression, the musical expression and ideas and the flair of playing the drums, the easiness, the lightness, that everything comes easy if you let the stick do the work for you.
No, I agree with you 100%. I don't know if you know. I don't know if you know about this, but I talk about this all the time. Since I'm writing a book, and my this book that I'm writing, which I started a long time ago, is coming from Master Studies by Joe Morello. So when I was studying in Italy, my teacher, he passed away, rest in peace. I was studying with him also Master Studies. And page 73 and 74, those two pages, I came up with more than, I think, like 50, 60 ways of approaching those two pages in all different ways, get involved also the feet and the hands. So anyway, I will start writing and I got up to a 25, 30 system, 30 ways to execute those pages. Then 1996, I moved here in the United States. I moved here to the United States and I will start playing gigs around. And I met someone which also passed away. I've been here for 25 years in the United States, long time. I'm Italian, also proud to be an American citizen at this point. But, I met this person and he said, man, you got to meet my friend. You got to meet my friend. And I said, who's your friend? And he goes like, my friend is Joe Morello. And I said, so, you know Joe Morello? I was coming from Italy. Joe Morello for me was like a dream come true.
God.
But, yeah, Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson, Morello, they were in my mind, technically speaking.
The big three. I just call them the big three.
Yeah, because those guys, they know the technique, the instrument inside out. I mean, so anyway, as you know, but I finally was able to, this friend of mine called Joe Morello. So I flew from California to Irvington, New Jersey, just to meet Joe Morello and take lessons from him. So I brought my 2 bags with all the books, and Joe, he was almost blind; he couldn't see.
Yeah.
And so when I get to the when I get to the music store, he was like, "Yeah, man, hey, can you play some? Just play something, So I played a solo and based on the groove. I don't know what I was doing, but anyway, I can't remember now. So I stopped playing, and John Morello was like, "Hey, man, you can play your hands more right. Can you read?" I said, "Yes." So he gave me something to read, and then he said, "Do you know Master Studies?" I said, "Yes." So I was waiting for that, and I played those 2 pages. So. And I showed him, I played them as a reading, as the book was telling you to execute them. And then I said, Maestro, I came up also with different ways, I like to go, Len, show me. So I played it, and he was like, man, you know what? That day, I was, this is something that I like to share with other drummers because it's a great experience for me. And it's a feel-good experience. He said, and at the time I had no money. I mean, I came here to the United States. I was spending all my money of my gigs that I was playing in Italy. And, because when you go to a new place, there's no gigs. I couldn't speak English. I could not speak English. I mean, the way I speak now, I was like, my name, Pepe. That's it. So to make long story short, Joe Morello was like,
Difficult. It's difficult. The new start, isn't it?
oh my God, man. Oh. Anyway, so I went through that. and Joe, after half an hour, 40 minutes, he goes like, you know what? Let's go outside. Let's go out across the street. There's a bar. Let's go drink. I said, man, I came here for a lesson. He goes like, you don't need lessons. Just come with me. So he brought me across the street. There was a bar across the street. We start drinking and we start talking about drumming. He tells me all the story that he used to share a studio with Buddy Rich when they were young. They used to share a studio apartment in New York. And so since then, I became a very good friend with Joe. We were talking always on the phone. He gave me my check back. I wrote him, at the time, 25 years ago, $120 check for 1 hour lesson. He gave me the money. Yes, he gave me that money back, and he said, "Man, every time you come to New York, come and see me." So we became friends. We talk, and then after a few years later, I moved to New York City. Now I live in California, but I moved back here in California 7 years ago. But for 10 to 11 years, I was in New York. That's what I made my, connection and, play with people. And I was hanging out with Joe at least twice a week at his house. When I was on my way to New York for my gig, I used to stop in Irvington, New Jersey, at Joe's apartment. That's where he used to live. And his wife, Jean, she's a wonderful person. Always, she learned how to make espresso coffee because she knows I'm Italian. So
proper one, not the instant coffee, yeah?
So, yeah. So to make a long story short, we were keep writing, continuing the book that I was writing with him. And then he passed away. So I stopped and I was very depressed because Joe and I Joe for me was, first of all, not only one of the mentor, big time, but also a great friend, a very good friend. We used to talk until 3 o'clock in the morning on the phone. So, and I'm glad you mentioned him because
you're making me jealous. You're making me jealous. Very, very jealous.
I was lucky. I was lucky enough to meet him. I met and I played actually drum duo with Belson, 1997 in San Jose State. Jimmy Cobb, Mickey Rooker, those guys. I love jazz music, so I'm really pretty much into it. But now I just wanted to share that with you about Joe Morello. He was unbelievable, always practicing, all the way. The story about Joe Morello, about the triplets, the Mahler that he used, right? The triplets thing.
Yeah.
The reason why he came up with that is because, again, when he was young, he was sharing studio apartment with Buddy Rich. And he said, man, we used to practice on the practice pad, Buddy Rich and I. And Buddy, man, he played a push and pull thing, And I was trying to figure out what the hell was he doing. So I was trying to cheat. So Joe was trying to cheat, trying to do the same thing. Instead of going like this, with the push and pull, he went like this, trying to cheat. And then he talked to Jim Shapping, Morello, later on, and he said, hey, man, I came up with this, but this is a Mahler technique. He was like, yes, and you got to meet Mr. Mahler, which Mahler has been around, the Mahler technique has been around for 100 years, since 1907.
Wow.
With Mr. Mahler. And Jim Shapping was the one who introduced Joe Morello to Mr. Mahler.
Yeah.
Wow. So that's the reason why on that page 73, if you see the exercise of the page, I don't know if you remember it, it starts with ta 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 ta. And the reason for that, for this motion, is because this can be the start for the Mahler technique. That's what it is. Just wanted to share that with you. So, who's your favorite jazz drummer? There is many, I know. But
was he playing the? Is it correct to approach the Joe Morello Mahler like 1 on the thumb and 2 on the index finger, like ta ti ti, like sort of pull in? Is that the correct way to approach it? Like if I turn my camera down, sort of like a ta ti ti ta ti ti ta ti ta.
That's it.
I've got a big, like a marching band sticks. Do you use marching band sticks for any pad work?
No.
So this is like
I tried. The reason why I don't use it because they're too heavy. And then when I get the regular sticks, I feel the difference. So
yes.
I feel like, you know what? I just use one thing. That's for me. That's what it
Yeah,
works.
yeah. So is it correct? I mean, this is how I sort of got it from his video, but I really have to revisit. So it was like a thumb and then 2 on the index. Ta, 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 ta. Is it the way?
Well, the thumb is not. Hold on.
Like thumb and 2 on the index. Ta, 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 ta.
Yes.
Something like that. Ta, 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 ta.
Yes. You know, as you know, there is this one. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to tune this one a little lower. If you can see it. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
So there's this one with the right hand. Right?
Yeah.
And with the left hand. Oh, hold on. I got to find the right position. Here it is. Oh.
Is it correct to say the first one, the accent's on the thumb? You're pulling in the second and the third note with the index finger, don't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
See the motion of that John Morello page 73, which is and the reason for that is because he said, Pepe, from here I can go to this.
Yeah.
See, that's the motion. And yeah, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But the principal accent is on the one.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And then you can get 4 notes.
I remember being blown away when I saw it at the age of 17 or 18. I'd never seen anything like that. So Joe Morello basically made me a jazz drummer. Simple as that. Before that, I was into rock and metal and everything, and then I saw Joe Morello, and then I just went, "Oh my God, this is what
Joe was accurate. He was always, hey man, see that finger right there, man. That's why he was a great teacher, because Joe was able to look at you or me or whatever, at anyone, and find the problem why he cannot execute or achieve certain technique.
Yeah.
He was looking for, he was taking an x-ray from the student, which, that's, as you know, that's what a teacher should be. Should be the guy who say, hey, look, that's great. The notes are right. I don't care if you make a mistake of a couple of notes. You can always fix that. But you have to be in command of the instrument in order to express yourself musically.
Yeah, it was only later when I realized that what a bad eyesight he had. I didn't realize that he was almost blind.
And, the reason why he passed away is because, first of all, he was afraid of hospitals. Yes, because he had a blockage. So his pulse was down to 22, 21, 22. Yeah.
Blockage.
Yeah, a blockage. The circulation, the blood circulation, it wasn't circulating. Now, about John Morello, he could drink anything, okay? You wouldn't even know. He drinks and he acts normal. He drinks and you don't even know. You don't even know that.
Italian heritage?
I don't know what it was, but he was like, man, let's get some Canadian whiskey, man. boom, 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 and he drinks and he. Oh yeah, I never seen John like going like this. No, no, no. He walks straight. He plays straight. He teaches. No problem. you know.
Wow. Now
No,
I love
no,
him even more.
no.
If it's possible. I didn't know about that habit, but I've been admiring him all my life. So now I just love him even more if it's possible.
And he lived a long life. The reason why he died is because he wanted to die. He wanted to go.
Okay.
The wife called me. And she said, Joe's pulsation is down to 21. Pepe, I called. I said, put him on the phone. And I said, Joe, what the hell, man? What's wrong with you? You got to go to the hospital. You got to do this thing. Oh no, because he was afraid. The reason why he's blind, because he had a bad operation, a bad doctor that screwed up the surgery. That's why he was almost blind by a mistake. So he said, I'm not going to go to the hospital, So I'm not going to go to the hospital, man. He was like, fuck it, man.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go there, man. And so the wife says, Pepe, you might be the only one that can convince him. So I went there at 5 o'clock in the morning, pick him up. We went to the hospital. I convinced him. I opened the door for him, and he goes like, no, man, no way. Let's go home. He said, I'm Joe Morello. I traveled the world 14 times. I did everything possible in the world of music, in the music world. I'm ready to go home. And I said, but you can't go home like this, man. And the doctor told me, if he has this little, stent, they put a stent, right? They put a little stent to unblock the vein.
Yeah.
He would have lived another 10 years.
Oh.
Yeah, he said, no, fuck no, man, I'm not going to do this. So anyway, he wanted to do whatever he wanted to do. That was his life. Yeah. But he left us a lot of music for us to listen to, a lot of great videos and great inspiration for us, I guess.
Oh, fantastic. Me. I mean, you know what you just said, it's so, well, it's sad and it's a happy story at the same time. That, of course, like every other great personalities or great artists like him, who was like influential in so many people's life, like definitely ours. He was stubborn. He said, I'm not going to the hospital, even if they could have saved him for another 10 years. So that was a part of his persona, I guess. He was part of his personality. This is how he wanted to live. This is what he believed. And we all down to our mental health and down to our beliefs, how you're going to proceed and how you're going to get on with your life. And I just, about what you said, it really moved me that he achieved everything in a music life and more. I keep telling my student in 2020, show me one more drummer that has a major gig, the Dave Brubeck Quartet, who has a #1 hit, Take Five, that is #1 on the radio station, which is in odd time signature in 5/4, featuring a drum solo. Joe Morello. Oh my God, give me one more drummer in the history of popular music that ever going to nail that. And it's just no chance,
And not only, that was the first drum solo in the jazz history in 5/4 was by Joe Morello. Before Joe, nobody played any drum solo in 5/4.
Yeah.
Joe Morello was the very first drummer who played the drum solo in 5/4.
How moving and how advanced that was at the time. Even now, we would have to, practice to achieve that. And many of my students couldn't do it, and even myself, I would have to really look into it. And what an incredible achievement and like a musical milestone, isn't it? It's a milestone.
Now,
I'm a fan. I'm a huge fan, and it's I don't even try to deny that. Fantastic.
No, now you said it. Long time ago was very challenging. Long time ago was like today playing 23/16 or 35/16. It all depends how you count and how you feel it. Nowadays, we 7 and 5, as you know, because I know you've been too nice. But 7 and 5 and 9, it's to me, I'm sure for you the same thing. It's very common. It's very, it's like a 4/4 time signature. But at the time, Gabor, can you believe it?
Imagine. Well, 50 years ago, it was 50 years ago. It was a groundbreaking record. Groundbreaking.
Very
And,
first drum solo in 5/4 was John Morello. Yeah.
And I remember when I spoke about it with Dom Familaro, he said the same. Oh my God, he had some lessons with Joe as well, and some of the other guys that I know, and they just said, "Oh my God," he had a huge following, and the modesty was amazing that he sort of expressed, and I never. I mean, I didn't know him in person, but the way he talked about Louis Bellson, the way he talked about Buddy Rich, who were at the time his biggest competitors, was really inspiring to me. It's just a heart. He said on his instructional video, he said, this is, I'm pulling in with my index finger. This is a technique that Louis Bellson showed me first when I went to his house, and he started playing single strokes at a lightning speed. And I just went like, oh my God, what a great person that is, that he's bigging up one of his great competitors by talking about that this is what I learned from that guy, and how positive that was, and how admirable that was, that they could be just great, and that just gave to his greatness, that gave him extra credit of being so modest and acknowledging to other people. He was acknowledging everybody else.
I felt the same thing. It felt the same way. And not only, what it really made me realize and thinking, I said, look, this man is talking about Louis Bellson, and he loves him. He's talking about Buddy Rich. He's talking about Jimmy Cole. That's the beauty of, that's what musicians and music's supposed to be. It's love and sharing. There is no competition.
Yeah.
It's only a healthy competition, and we are all human. We all practice. There's nobody that, you can have a gift, God will give you the gift, and then you practice, and then you burn. But it's an healthy competition. There is no jealousy. It's all about the love and worship towards the music. And it's like a religion, go door by door and try to spread the word about music. That's what it is. Now, let's talk about you, because I watched some of your videos, and you have an incredible technique. You play so relaxed. You have a beautiful tone when you play, great sound, great creativity. So, if you have a drum solo, for example, here, if you have a drum solo that you have to play, what do you base this drum solo from? Like, do you like to prepare something before you start doing it, or you just let the moment come to you and you do it? How you approach this? I know there's many ways to do it, but there's always a basic foundation. But tell me, what is your approach to the groove? What's the most essential thing you think to play a great groove? To play right in the packet, and the soloing. Let's talk about your opinion of grooves and soloing approaching.
Oh my God, that was like 25 questions in one sentence.
I know.
I could talk about this for 2.5 weeks without taking a breath.
Please take a breath.
It's a very interesting question what you just asked. And oh my God, where should I start? First of all, thank you for the compliments. I really appreciate them.
You're welcome.
One of my main approaches to music. First of all, I never like generally, naturally, I never been a rigid player. I can't really watch rigid players play because they make my hand hurt. I just feel like even if I watch them tense up and play like that, it just makes my elbow hurt and makes my arm hurt and everything just hurt. Everything against that I love doing. So basically, I have a concept that if I have to tense up to play something, I'd rather not do it because it's not going to be natural. There'll be no flow, there'll be no feeling, nothing that comes naturally from me. If I have to tense up, I'd rather leave it. So, and I was very, very fortunate in 1996. That was the first time that I opened in the biggest Hungarian drum festival for Giorgio Mayer. And Giorgio Mayer, who had an incredible technique, he was one of the huge fans of Joe Morello, by the way. He's even featured the photograph of Joe Morello in his instructional video, which is a groundbreaking video from Hudson Music titled, what was it called? The Secret Weapon for the Modern Drummer, including all the push-pull and Moller and all the hand techniques and everything. And there was a massive photo of great Joe Morello. So he was a fan of Joe Morello. And Giorgio Mayer sort of made me realize the importance of letting the stick do the work for you. So just like everything else in my life, it was like a backward journey. I discovered Giorgio and he showed me, I opened for him. So he, in the dressing room, he showed me his techniques and he was already over. He was talking about Joe Morello and Don Familaro and all the greats and Buddy Rich and Louis Bellson. And I was just discovering them at the time because I was 18 at the time. I didn't know anything about drum technique and everything. So suddenly I had this realization that if you let the stick do the work for you, then you get an open sound, and that gives you more rebound, more flow, and that gives you speed. Because if you let the stick work for you, then you get the speed. Suddenly everything works, everything bounces back. You don't have to fight the stick, you don't have to fight the drum head. Everything just bounces, and you combine and string the movements together. You have the forearm, you have the wrist, you have the fingers, and everything's just sort of combined. So the whole thing is a flow rather than trying to work everything. I can't play like that. And the more I realized, the looser I try to play. And then I realized that because one of my other favorites always were Billy Cobham. And Billy Cobham first of all, he played traditional grip in both hands. So I started learning traditional on left hand and right hand.
By the way, I saw you doing it the same thing in that video.
Yes, I just realized I mean, I was very ambitious. I always been very ambitious. I said that if Billy Cobham can do it, then I can do it. I don't know why on earth I thought when I was 17, 18 that I'm going to learn it this way and that way and both ways. But I just did. I was to a certain level. I mean, I'm still working on it. I forever will work on it.
You'll do.
But I just thought that it's great. So I can be sort of left-handed and lead with the left and be traditional on the right hand and be, right-handed and be traditional on the left. And I just enjoyed the changeover. It's fascinating. Of course, I'm the master of complicating my own life because this way you have to practice both ways, So it's not that I have the time for it, but if I had, I would be doing it like I used to. And so then I discovered Billy Cobham and I realized that, okay, ambidexterity is something that I'm very, very interested in. And if there was one thing that I would change in my playing, I would never play cross-handed because I think I love the traditional grip. But the way it was developed, that you put the right hand over the left and the left hand is in a lockdown position, I wouldn't be in that position. I would rather have the left hand leading on the hi-hat and have the right hand in the traditional grip. So the whole drum kit is open in front of you rather than doing this and lock down the arms, because no other instrument does that. the guitarist, the trumpet player, piano player, unless they do it on purpose when they jump over, it's fine. But generally, nobody else plays in this position because I find it personally a little bit limiting. So I said, okay, I will try to play match grip most of the time and be able to move to the right, move to the left. And when I play something more delicate or something when I want to be quieter on the snare, I'm just going to change to the traditional grip. So for that, I had to learn it all. And I'm still learning it, forever will. And because there's so many nuances and techniques and push pulls and maulers and all the different techniques, that it's an endless job, endless journey. So I'm enjoying it. I'm still on it. And regarding to your other question, so that's just my general approach to drumming, ambidexterity. I'd like to get my weaker hand, which is my left hand, because I'm right-handed by nature. I'm just trying to get my left hand up to the same level where my right hand is, in both ways, both match grip and traditional. And I love the sound and approach differences and the possibilities that the different grips, different drumstick, the sound. Because when you play traditional grip, you think differently, you play differently than if you play mash. Like, for example, if I play jazz, I automatically change to the traditional because this is how I learned it and this is how I feel it. I don't want to be so heavy-handed, like playing in the match group. I know that there are examples with great players like Mark Juliana or Eric Harland or other people, modern jazz players.
Bill Stewart.
Bill Stewart, oh my God, they play match grip and they sound fantastic. I wish I never sounded like that. So I know it's possible. It's not down to the grip. It's down to how you feel the music, how you feel your best expression, how you can express your musical thoughts. And that's the only thing that matters. How is it comfortable for you? Like if you see Al Foster, his cymbals are like this, like Tommy Campbell, vertical cymbals up in the air, and they sound like a motherfucker. Absolute amazing. So it doesn't matter. It's just how does it work for you as a person, as a player? There's no set rules. There's no one way that it would be good. It's several different ways, and it's all fine.
Yeah, no, I also believe, I agree 100%. I also believe that, traditional grips and match grips. I also believe drumming, it's also a psychological thing. Besides the muscle memories and, the fact that we practice dynamics, finger control, rest, up and down stroke, rebound stroke controls, which I'm really into it right now because it's really helping me for what I want to do. Like with one motion, I can control 5-6 strokes, just like playing one note. And if I want 5 strokes, I get five strokes. That's what I'm working on right now.
Yeah.
7, that kind of thing. And it's really helping me to. So, but besides that, it's also, like you said, this will make you think differently.
Yeah.
If I were to hold the drumsticks like this, I would not think the same way, if I were to hold the drumsticks match grip.
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%, man. It's and whatever it takes to make music, I don't care. I can hold the drumsticks like that too, as long as I can make music.
You're fine. I think one of the greatest explanation, which is always the simplest, was coming from Steve Smith, who's also a great drum set virtuoso, and he basically said the main difference between the two grips is if you're in match grip, the weight on the arm is on the top of the stick. So you are naturally going to have a stronger backbeat. So if you play rock and roll, boom, ba-dum, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, I would most certainly recommend you to play match grip because you're just going to have the whole whip and the weight of the arm on the top of the stick, pulling it down. But if you play jazz and you use your left hand to play comping notes, you don't want to be too loud because that's the first thing what the rock drummers do wrong when they're trying to play swing. Ting, 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 bah, ting, ting, but they have a massive backbeat because it's just too loud on the snare. So you want to be more delicate, more, much softer, much more laid back. So this way you only have the thumb and the index finger on the top of the stick most of the time, unless you have the middle finger as well. And that way you're just playing the comping notes, and you have more finesse, more control over the volume, in a sense. You don't want to be that loud. I mean, having said that, when you see Steve Gadd and Vinnie Colaiuta and all the guys playing all type of music with traditional, you can still achieve a strong backbeat, of course, if you want.
No, I also believe that the sound is coming from your head. You hear what you want.
Yeah,
I've seen it. People holding the drumsticks like that, traditional grips, that they can barely move. But if you think of the sound that you want, and they can have like, fuck! It's like, holy cow. It's like, you see that you get the same volume, same dynamic of somebody who plays match grip like this, and you can achieve the same thing. Like you say, you see Vinny playing that kind of shit. I mean, and Vinny, he also switches sometimes, but most of the time he's like this.
Yeah.
It's all about the sound that you want, that you have in your head.
Yeah.
How you want it. See, that's why I also said before, to me, that's my honest opinion, of course. It's also up here. Everything comes from up here.
Yeah.
This is muscle memory. We practice like going to the gym, and we work out, and we lift like 200 pounds, and then 500 pounds. But, at the end, when it comes down to playing music, we don't have time to think about the exercise or what we're doing at home. We just play music,
Yeah.
But it's also here. I agree with you 100% on that one.
Yeah.
And what about the groove? Because a lot of people now, see, the reason why I ask you those questions is because try to help others. And after this, I'm not going to keep you longer because I don't want to get you stuck in your studio.
No, and that's my happiest place in the world,
Oh, tell me about it. My baby. So, what was my question? Wait a minute, I forgot
about groove and the sound.
Yes. So now, a lot of people, they're missing the points. The fact that we practice and we develop a certain technique, difficult, great coordination, great this, great that. But a lot of people underestimate, like in jazz, some people, they say they play too much without knowing that the most important thing in jazz music is the right cymbal.
That's the only thing that really matters, in my opinion.
You can play all the chops in the world, but when the time comes that the bass player goes, ding, ding, the bone, ding, the bone,
that's the only thing that matters, really.
And if you're missing this, that would be the last gig you ever played.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a jazz player. Now, and I believe now the same thing can be in any style, any genre, So, and I started like you, just like you, man. I started from pop to funk to fusion. Then I had to go back. And see, let me see what happened before. I had to go back and see what happened before. How come, if you know A.T. Art Taylor, if you know Art Blakey, if you know Billy Higgins, if anyway, all those people, right? You analyze them.
All the guys.
Oh, Max, yeah. But, if you know them deep, that you really know what's happening and you study them, then you realized, like if you know Buddy and Louie and, then you realize what Steve Smith is doing. Then you know exactly what Yo-Yo Meyer is doing.
Yeah.
And so at the end, a lot of people, young people, I'm talking about young upcoming drummers. And the reason why I ask you this is because we are givers and, I'd like to give that positive message to all of them to make sure that the music is going to be in good hands, and eventually we're going to have a great upcoming drummers, because that would be my happiness.
Yeah.
You know? So a lot of people, they underestimate the fact of lay down a beautiful groove with the correct sound, full sound, relaxed and groovy, without playing a feel, just
Mm.
like and stay like that for 10 minutes. you know. So how important that it is, you think? What do you think? How
Well,
important?
I personally think, sorry for interrupting, it's the most important thing that we can do. Because if you think about it, sometimes we do have the rare, very, very rare opportunity to play a solo, or play a drum clinic, or play a drum festival, or whatever it is. But if you think about it, I mean, even someone like Steve Smith, he's been holding down the groove for Journey on
For
and
you?
off for decades. And bum, da, ga, 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 bum, ba, ba, ba. You can't go like that was the last time you played that show. I can guarantee.
Yeah.
50,000 people want to do this, you know, and there was some of the highlights of my career has been being appreciative to all kinds of music. And I've been on a world tour with the it was a Michael Jackson show from the West End. West End is the Broadway of London, so to speak. And I did the Michael Jackson show by the name of Thriller Live. And that was some of the greatest grooves of pop music. Ka-doom boom back in don't ka-ba, ka-boom boom back in boom ka-ba, ka-shoom boom back in boom. It was all about the groove. And when you're in part of a production like that, you realize how important timekeeping is, how important it is to lay down a groove, be tight with the click, because everything else was programmed. It's not just the hand claps and the backing vocals and the percussion and all that, but the lighting. So you're part of the show. You have to do your bit. This is what you get paid for. And that tour made me see China the first time. That tour took me to European tour for 9 months. That tour took me 5 times to the UK tour. That tour took me to South Africa. We did 4 weeks in Johannesburg, 1 week in Cape Town. That tour took me to Greece, to Italy. That was one of the first time I visited Rome. I spent weeks and weeks there, sold out venues. We traveled the whole world. It was fantastic. And my job was to provide a solid groove and get paid for it. So if you're not completely stupid, you have to realize that it's always going to be the groove that gets you hired and gets you paid for. Even if you play jazz, nobody cares about all your fancy hand and feet combination and hi-hat tricks and all the bollocks. All they care about ding 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 ding, whether you can play the right cymbal in time and 2 and 4 on the hi-hat. That's the thing that matters, because once you leave your bedroom and you no longer want to be a bedroom drummer, you want to be a musician, you have to play your part in the music. And your part as a non-solo drummer will be the timekeeper. And I'm not saying that the others are not responsible for keeping time, but they rely on you, whether you play ka-ching, ching, 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 that they can rely on. So you lead them to play in a good time. You don't let them speed up and slow down. Of course, they all contribute. I'm not saying they aren't. They are contributing, but really, it's all about the time and the consistent sound. And that's what you hired for. This is how you're going to get a gig. And you can do your fancy stuff in your drum clinics and drum shows and festivals, or in your practice room if you're lucky. And then you can do your YouTube videos or Facebook videos, Instagram 15-second things, and then you get some online attention. It's still not going to get you hired, because what's going to get you hired is you play good time, so the people that you play with the musicians in the working musicians in the business, going to talk about you that this guy is playing time well, and that's going to get you hired.
That's perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. In other words, you're driving the bus when you play in the band.
Absolutely.
You say, guys, come in. I got some food and drinks there. Sit down. Make yourself comfortable. Are you guys ready to? Yeah, buckle up. Let's
Boom.
go. No, I agree 100%. That's wonderful. I think this is a very, very, very good and helpful live stream show for so many young upcoming drummers because what we talk about is something very important. In fact, I was talking the other day, chatting with Gary Husband.
Yeah.
So, and Gary says, Pepe, you know what? I want to do the show with you, but we have to talk about music. Forget about what I do or what I have done with John McLaughlin or whatever. You know, people will find that out. People will know that anyway. But let's talk about music concept. Let's make this show, really something helpful, you know, to the youngest. Let's talk about the music concept, and I love the fact that we're talking about this kind of stuff because sometimes I don't push it because maybe the other person doesn't feel it, which it didn't happen with other people. So far, it didn't happen at all. I had Carl Allen, which was drummer for Freddie Hubbard, so many people. Joseph Farnsworth, which is another great drummer. I had Peter Eskin last week. So I had many people, and luckily Peter just showed up at the show, and he called me an hour before to make sure that the sound was okay because he wanted to play. Says, Pepe, can you tell me if you can hear the drums okay? I want to play some tunes. I want to look how nice it is. What a beautiful human being.
What a legend, Peter Erskine. Oh my God.
Yeah, and he called me an hour before the live stream. It was like, hey man, let's video chat. I want to show you the my system here. I want to make sure that if I play something, the people can hear me fine. And I said, man, this is beautiful. I said, I got no question. He was like, we have to talk about us. He said, let's play music and try to, so that's the main reason, the main goal of those live streams is to give, first of all, the opportunity to the people who follow us to get some great information about history of drumming, about concept, about this, and to reach out to the youngest and say, look, we are givers, we're giving. Of course. Now, Gabor also teach. Would you talk about your website, your school, how can people contact you in London or from anywhere in the world? Because online, see, that's the beautiful thing about teaching online. And I love it.
Yeah.
Online, you can, just with the click of a button, you can get connected and learn from the best in the world nowadays. So, guys, don't be sad. Everything is beautiful. It's going to be great. So, tell us about your online school that you have in London.
Yes. Well, this is my home studio where I have the Roland drums here for the best Skype experience because there's no distortion from the sound. There's no overdriven levels because sometimes acoustic drums can be too loud unless you have a good sound system. I also have, of course, 25 drum kits. I've got acoustic drums. I've got my private drum school, which is a Harrow drum school, because I'm in sort of northwest London. That it's a county of London called Harrow. So I manage my private drum school where some of my best university graduates teach kids and beginners for me. So it's not me who's always there. It's my best students teach for me. And I'm teaching from home. This is my home studio. It's in my garden. So I give the Skype lessons and Zoom lessons and everything from here. I also now started seeing people in one-to-one live circumstances because the lockdown's been eased in London, thankfully, a couple of weeks ago.
Thank God.
So people started coming back. I'm seeing the people here in person. Of course, we keep the social distancing. So We try to stay, like 2 meters away, 2 meters apart. So people can contact me on my website, which is gabordornyei.com, also on Facebook, Instagram, in every possible platform they can find me. And of course, all the Drumeo features and my films on Drum Channel from California, which is
Yeah.
Drum Channel is based in Oxnard, where the drum workshop companies. People started contacting me from America. I had private students from Brazil, US, Canada, Iceland, all over Europe, Norway, Germany. I'm very happy and delighted to see everybody. So if you see this footage, please feel free to write me directly. I am going to reply to all the inquiries, and I hope to be able to help you with your drumming skills and your musical approach, your personal approach, your questions, inquiries. Um, some of my students are doing the biggest stages in the world at the moment. It's interesting to see, some of the pop music scene. It's all for the youth, the youngsters, in their 80s and early 20s, 18-year-old, 19-year-old, 20-year-old, early 20s, 25, touring the world, coming out of the university that I teach, which is the ICMP London. I've been on faculty. The ICMP is short for the Institute of Contemporary Music Performance. It's also in Northwest London, in Kilburn, Zone 2. I've been there since 2012. So this is the 8th year I'm completing at ICMP. And a really funny thing that now that you mentioned Peter Erskine, when Peter Erskine invited me to do a drum masterclass with my fantastic percussionist friend by the name of Cornel Horvath, who is we formed Thunder Duo in 2005. So this year is our 15th anniversary. Erskine invited us to play at the University of Southern California,
That's what
USC.
he did. Yeah.
He teaches there, yeah, and that was probably one of the smallest audiences I ever played for, and that was the most important and prestigious event for me, just because Peter was there. He was
Yeah.
sitting in first row, and at the end of the performance, he started like a standing ovation for us. To me, that really shows that this is how important this is for me. It's not about how many hundreds and thousands of people in the audience for a pop gig, when you do a pop gig, but when you play your original music that's coming from your heart, and there's
Yes.
one person there that counts so much that I've been watching him like 500 million times in my life, and then he appreciates what you do. That means more than all the paychecks in the world. So
Oh, I feel the same. I feel the same. I feel the same. I agree with you 100%.
it's got to
Well,
come from your heart. It's got to come from your heart, because if you're in it for any other reasons, you're in the wrong place.
well, that was a beautiful words you just said. It was words of encouragement for all the youngest out there, and none, you know. Um, but I wanted to take the opportunity again before we say goodbye to thank you for this wonderful time that I had. I had a great time here, and meeting you, talking to you, sharing some drumming, some tips, watching you holding your sticks and play some numbers there. It was wonderful. And I wanted to thank you one more time, and I want to thank you also on behalf of the audience. And I'm sure people they're going to watch also this video is going to be also on YouTube, public tomorrow. We live now on YouTube and Facebook, but it's going to be live tomorrow on YouTube as well. Please write a comment because I'm sure Gabor will read your comments, and if he finds time, he's going to answer. I will do the same thing. Thank you so much, and check out Gabor online drum school. Gabor not only again is a great cat, but he's a wonderful teacher. He knows his instrument. He's a master of his instrument, and he has a lot of experience. I love his drumming. He's very musical and inspiring. So, guys, please check it out and contact him. That's our mission. The only way to get better is to practice and share music with others. And like me, for example, Gabriel, see, if I meet somebody that that I'm interested in, I don't care how long. I started playing drums since I was 5, but still nowadays, when I see somebody that I call him up for less, hey, you got to teach me that. So this is our life, is part of our journey, and check out the best and get connected with the best because that's the only way for you to become one of
Yes, 100%.
them.
100%.
Thank you so much again. You have a wonderful evening, and I hope one day we're going to meet personally. And if you ever come to California, you call your brother Pepe. Va
I
bene?
definitely will. I definitely will.
Same thing here. Ciao, fratello.
Thank you. Ciao. Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bello.
Ciao.
Ciao. Bye. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And that was the great friend Gabor Dornyei. Wonderful, wonderful person. So, guys, keep an eye for the next Peppe Merolla and Friends show because there's a lot of other great drummers and friends which I will be featuring on the show, such as Paul Vertico, um, the great David Garibaldi is coming. Um, Gary Husband is going to be on it. So this is music, it's life. Music is about sharing and love. Much love to you all. Thanks for following Peppe Merolla. Bye now.